So good morning students. Today we are going to discuss about the solubility of a substance in detail. So as you see on my screen right now, the solution chapter of NCERT is there, and in that the subsection 2.3 is there. So as you see, the definition of solubility is given that it is the maximum amount that can be dissolved in a specified amount of a solvent at a specified temperature. So you need to keep three things in your mind, that is maximum amount, which I have underlined here, specified amount of solvent, and specified temperature. And the most important factor is the specified temperature here, because the solubility changes with temperature as well as pressure. Later on we will see how it is dependent on temperature and pressure. One more thing, it depends upon the nature of solute and solvent also, that the things on which the type of solute and solvent which we are going to mix with each other. Now here after that they have discussed about two subtypes, that is solubility of a solid in a solution and solubility of gas in a liquid. One thing I want to tell you is that wherever you see the word ability, that is here in case of your, so this ability is nothing but the ability. And so we were discussing about solubility, and I was telling you that wherever you find the word ability at the last, for example in solubility you can see here ability is there, which I have underlined. So ability is nothing but it says the ability or capacity. In a indirect manner it says that what is the capacity of a given solvent to dissolve solute in that the maximum level at a given temperature. Now what used to happen is that suppose this is your beaker which is containing a given specified amount of solvent. Suppose this is your water which I have drawn here, and you put some salt in that. Now what will happen is that, okay, at a particular temperature, say 10 degrees Celsius, for 10 degrees Celsius the maximum which can be dissolved, let it be 10 grams, means at room temperature the maximum amount of salt that can be dissolved in that given solvent is 10 grams. But as soon as you rise the temperature, means the temperature, if you are going to rise the temperature, then obviously what is to happen is that the space among the solvent molecules or solvent particles increases, as a result of which the gap increases, and since the gap increases, the solute holding capacity of the solvent, which was earlier 10 grams, is now has now increased, means instead of 10 gram it can also hold more than that. So that can be defined indirectly. We can say that how the solvent, sorry, how the solubility of a given solute changes with the temperature. Now we will discuss sub two types, that is solubility of a solid in liquid. So actually solubility of a solid in liquid is compared to your solubility of gas in liquid, means the factors over which the solubility of a liquid in solid depends are less compared to the factors which are variable in case of solubility of a gas in liquid. For example, here it is given that every solid does not dissolve in a given liquid. Obviously that is the fact, and we all know that the most important line here is that, like, sorry, the most important line here is like dissolve like. Like dissolve like means, if suppose if you have taken sodium chloride, and if you will try to dissolve this sodium chloride in naphthalene or anthracene, means suppose you have taken an ionic compound, and if you try to dissolve that ionic compound into some organic compound, then obviously they are not going to dissolve. For example, that is a ionic compound plus organic compound, then obviously they are not going to dissolve with each other. So this thing you need to keep in mind. And similarly, if you are going to dissolve two ionic compounds or two organic compounds, then obviously they are going to dissolve with each other. That is what he is saying here, like dissolve. Like here some examples are given, that is polar solutes dissolve in polar solvent and non-polar. It is very important line, please underline that. Polar solutes here means which are having temporarily polarization. For example, if there is a huge electronegativity difference between the positive ions and negative ions, then in that case is polarization of the atoms takes place. For example, Na plus Cl minus, these are called polar solutes, and non-polar means where there is such no polarization or there is no such significant electronegativity difference. Now, one important concept is given here, which you need to keep in mind. This is what I am talking about. When a solid solute is added to the solvent, some solute dissolve and its concentration increases in the solution. Concentration we have already discussed in our previous video. What are the various ways to express the concentration? This process is known as dissolution. So from this you can write one more thing. What is dissolution? Dissolution is nothing but the process of dissolving a solute into a given solvent in order so that its concentration increases. Now some solute particles in solution collide with the solid solute particles and get separated out of the solution. What actually they are what is being explained in this particular paragraph is that, suppose you have taken a saturated solution. Now if you are going to add some solute at a particular temperature, if at a particular temperature if you are having a saturated solution, in that saturated solution if you are going to add some solute, then obviously at that particular temperature it is not going to get dissolved. The solute is not going to get dissolved, and finally it comes or it gets settled down at the bottom. But what is the mechanism why it is getting settled down at the bottom is that when you try to dissolve that solute, for example, suppose this is your beaker and this is your solution in which you put the given salt, so if you are going to put that solute in the solvent, what will happen is that that will not dissolve and finally it will settle down at the bottom, which I have shown here. Now what is the mechanism why it is getting settled down at the bottom is that whatever solute particle which you put inside the solvent, and once you start stirring, so the solute particles which you have just put inside the solvent and the solute particles which were already there inside or in the void or in the spaces between the solvent particle, they collide with each other. And what used to happen is that the solute particle which you have just inserted in the solvent, that hits the solute particles which were already there. Means suppose this is your two solvent molecules and this is your solute which was already there. Now you have just put another solute. This is the solute which this is that solute particle which you have just now inserted. Now what will happen is that this solute particle will hit this already present solute particle, and this will come outside this molecule and this will take its place, and this solute particle which was already there will get or will come out of the solid, and finally it will settle down at the bottom like this. So we can say that the solute particles which we inserted, it is not necessary, please keep in mind, it is not necessary that whatever solute particles which we have inserted in a saturated solution at a given temperature, only those solute particles will settle down at the bottom. No, it may happen that the solute particles which we have inserted at a given point will take some place inside that solvent, and the particles which were present inside the solvent will come out of the solution and will get settled down at the bottom. So a dynamic equilibrium used to exist. Dynamic equilibrium in the sense when you start stirring the solution with the help of a spoon, then only this type of phenomena will be observed. So in that condition, in the condition of dynamic equilibrium, you can see here the number of solute particles going into solution will be equal to solute particles separating out, and a state of dynamic equilibrium will be reached, which is shown by the means whatever solute particles, this was our solute particle. So whatever solute particles which were going inside will now be equal to the amount which are coming outside. Means this is the solute particle which is going inside, and this is the solute particle which is coming outside. So if these two, if the rate of going is equal to rate of incoming, in that condition obviously some part of the solute will remain undissolved in the solution. So further is saying that at this stage the concentration of a solute in solution will remain constant under given condition. I have already discussed the effect of temperature. So as the temperature rises, we can understand here, as the temperature, suppose these are the solute solvent particles. Suppose these are the solvent particles. Suppose these are the solvent particles and these are the solute particles. Now as the temperature increases, what used to happen is that as the temperature increases, that is, I am increasing my T. As the temperature increases, the space between these two molecules, the space between these two solution or solute molecule, the space, intermolecular space between these two will increase due to increase in the temperature or due to increase in the thermal energy, as a result of which this space, this void space will increase, and due to increase in this space, more amount of solute can be now adjusted or can be collected in the same given space. So at that particular space, more amount of solute can be adjusted at a higher level of temperature. So you can see clearly earlier only one solute was there, but as the temperature increased, more number of solutes were started gathering in between the space. So this is how the solubility increases or solubility increases with temperature, and that shows the dependency of solubility with temperature. Now if we discuss the effect of pressure, then pressure do not play a very important role in this case, that is solubility of liquid in solution, because both are incompressible in nature. Incompressible in nature means the bulk modulus. Bulk modulus is nothing but that is defined as the ratio of pressure applied divided by the change in respective volume. So change in, obviously if they are incompressible, then change in volume will be zero, and as a result of it, bulk modulus will be very high. So the bulk modulus value for solid and liquid, that is very high, therefore the effect of pressure is not that much significant as in case of gases in a liquid soluble. So here you can see also that pressure do not have any significant effect. Pressure do not have any significant effect. So you just underline that pressure do not have any significant effect on the solubility in liquid state. So because liquid and solid and liquid are highly incompressible. Highly incompressible means you can relate this point with the bulk modulus, that is KT, also thermal, or I should say if you relate that with K, that is bulk modulus. Then in case of liquid and solids, This value of bulk modulus is very high, as a result of which they do not respond to the pressure change in a very effective way. And effect of temperature, which I've already told you, the solubility of solid and liquid is significantly affected by the temperature changes, which I've just told you. Now coming to the second subtopic, that is solubility of a gas in liquid. So this, if we compare the behavior of solubility of a solid in a liquid, in the case where our solute was solid and solvent was liquid, its behavior is very much different compared to the previous one, because here our solubility is, here our solute is gas and our solvent is liquid. So gas is a compressible. If we find the value of bulk modulus, so the value of bulk modulus for a given gas is finite, and obviously they are having a comparatively lesser value of bulk modulus compared to your solid and liquid, as a result of which the solubility of gas in liquid can be changed by changing the temperature as well as pressure, and other variables are also play important role. For example, nature of solute and solvent, which we have already discussed. So here he has given some example that many gases dissolve in water. Oxygen dissolved only to a small extent in water, and it is dissolved oxygen which sustain the all aquatic life. Obviously, the reason due to which the marine species used to take oxygen from the which is being dissolved in the water. On the other hand, hydrogen chloride gas, that is HCl, is highly soluble in water. Solubility of a gas is greatly affected by pressure and temperature. So here it is, you can see here written one of the important line, that in liquid gases of solubility of gases in liquid is greatly affected by pressure and temperature. So solubility of gases in liquid is greatly affected by pressure and temperature. The solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure. For example, now the solubility of gases increases with increasing pressure. So here I can tell you one of the best example how you can validate this statement that solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure, is that of your common cold drink example. So when you just open the bottle of the cold drink, that is under a very high pressure, and as soon as you open the bottle, uh, effervescence, or I should say the dissolved gas or dissolved carbon dioxide, which is being dissolved in the given solution of cold drink at a very high pressure, used to come outside in the form of effervescence. So that shows that when you see the bottle, when you see a sealed packed cold drink bottle, then in that case, even if you shake that bottle vigorously, then you don't find any effervescence. But as soon as you open the bottle and if you shake that bottle, then all of a sudden a huge amount of effervescence will come outside. That shows that the presence of dissolved gases. The lower part is a solution and the upper part is a gaseous system, as shown here. He has explained with two such example, A and B. Means in first part, the lower part is your solvent and the upper part is your gas, and this is your liquid, and a given weight is being applied. So as the weight over the given space, given gas increases, the solubility of this particular gas inside this liquid increases, and this behavior of gas with pressure, the behavior of gases, that is their increase in solubility with pressure above, that was first studied by Henry, that was the scientist, and he stated this behavior in terms of a simple law, which is called as Henry's law. In means over his name only he is kept Henry's law. So what is Henry's law? He says that the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of a liquid or solution. So one thing you need to keep in mind here is that it is discussing about the solubility of a gas in liquid. means solubility. If we discuss the, for example, here some gas was there and over that some pressure was applied. So what Henry's law says that if this is the gas present over this liquid, then if we increase the weight over this particular uh, piston, then the solubility of this gas inside this liquid will increase. And Henry's law says that solubility, the extent to which this gas will dissolve in this liquid, will depend upon the partial pressure of this gas. And what is partial pressure? Partial pressure is the total pressure. What is the contribution of that particular gas in the total pressure? For example, if we are having a room, suppose if we are having a room, uh, I'm just trying to explain here. Suppose this is a room and it is made up of, in that room two gases are present, that is A and B. Now partial pressure means what is the contribution of A in the total pressure. For example, A plus B together, if the total pressure is equal to 10, if the total pressure is equal to 10, then what is the single contribution of A in this 10? What is the single contribution of B in 10? So if you talk about the single contribution of A or B in the total pressure, then that is expressed in terms of partial pressure. And partial pressure is nothing but the pressure which A will be applied, assuming that the whole room was filled with A only. And if in the similar way, if we define the partial pressure of B, then it is defined as the total pressure of B, assuming that total pressure of B, or the total pressure or the pressure which B will apply, assuming that the whole room was contained only by B gas. So this the value of partial pressure is the magnitude of partial pressure is obtained by multiplying the mole fraction of A into the total pressure. In similar way, the partial pressure of B is obtained by multiplying the mole fraction of B into the total pressure. So Dalton's also concluded the same result, and in both were having a independent, both got the independent result. So if we use a mole fraction of a gas in the solution, see here partial pressure is means solubility is nothing but that simply shows the mole fraction, or in other words I should say the mole fraction of a given gas in a liquid shows its solubility. Higher will be the mole fraction, obviously more will be the solubility. That is what written here. If we use the mole fraction of a gas in the solution as a measure of solubility, so we can use the mole fraction as the measure of solubility. Why? Because more be the mole fraction of that given solute, more be the solubility. We have already discussed the meaning of mole fraction. Mole fraction is nothing but the number of moles of a given solute divided by the total number of moles present in the solution. So larger be the number of moles of solute, larger will be its mole fraction. Then it can be said that the mole fraction of a gas in the solution is proportional to the partial pressure of the gas over the solution. The partial pressure of the gas in the vapor phase is proportional to the mole fraction in the solution. So here he has written a expression that is P is equal to KHX, where P is the partial pressure of that gas over the liquid, KH is the constant, and X is the mole fraction. KH, which I told here, is nothing but the Henry's law constant. And if we draw graph between, this graph is very important, please keep this in mind, that is drawn between partial pressure and the mole fraction. So here you can see that as the mole fraction is increasing in a similar way, partial pressure of HCl is also increasing. Here the partial pressure is expressed in the terms of torr. Torr is nothing but this unit has been taken from the name of very famous scientist Torricelli. So different gases have different KH value at the same temperature. This suggests that KH is a function of nature of the gas. You can physically realize the significance. You can physically realize the significance of this law by the taking example of cold drink. Means if you increase the pressure, then obviously what will happen is that the gas molecules or the gas solute gas which is acting here as solute, and obviously due to increase in pressure those gas molecules will be forced to go inside the liquid solution, as a result of which the solution will, and the solubility will increase, or I should say the concentration of that particular gas in that liquid will also increase. So here with different values of pH for different gases is being written, and as well as at a given different values of temperature. Higher the solubility, here one more statement that the higher value of KH of at a given pressure, the lower is the solubility of the gas in the liquid. So if we consider this equation P is equal to KHX, then obviously if P is equal to KH, means if we increase the X value then KH will decrease, and if we decrease the X value then KH value will increase. Means indirectly is saying that if the higher be the KH value, that is Henry law constant, then obviously the X value will be less. That is what he has written here. That is what he is trying to say. The higher the value of KH at a given pressure, the lower is the solubility of that gas in the liquid. One more thing you can simply observe here is that for N2, for nitrogen gas at 293, the value of KH is 76.48, and at 303 Kelvin it is 88.84. So you can see as the temperature is increasing, the KH value is increasing. Please pay attention here. As the value of as the temperature 293, it is increasing from 293 Kelvin to 303 Kelvin. You can see clearly that for nitrogen it is increasing from 76.48 to 88.484. Means as the value of temperature is increasing, the KH value is also increasing. That means if KH value is increasing, then X will decrease. So this is what here it is written, that with increase of temperature indicating the solubility of gases increases with decreasing temperature. Indirectly here just said the reverse of the statement what we observed here, is trying to say that if we are going to increase the temperature, obviously the KH value will increase, and if we are going to increase the KH value, then our solubility will decrease. This can be said in other words as, if we are going to decrease the temperature, then obviously KH value will decrease, and if we are going to decrease the temperature, KH value will decrease, and KH value will decrease, then obviously our solubility will increase. So that's the reason why, this is the reason due to which aquatic species are more comfortable in cold water rather in warm water. That is one of the most important thing which you concluded, or which you finally came to know from this detailed discussion. So please keep in mind the relation of temperature pressure in case of your Henry's law. So if we summarize this whole topic of solubility, then we can clearly say that the solubility depends on the number of factors, that is maximum amount, specified nature of solute and solvent, temperature and pressure. So if you talk about the solubility of a solid in liquid, then it is independent of most of the factors except temperature. And if we discuss about the solubility of a gas in liquid, then it is dependent on pressure also, temperature also. Thank you.